What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one that, kind of thought we might be talking about at some point in the near future. And today, tough day for Indianapolis. We sit here May 21st, 2025. And as I was out at a birthday dinner, found out that Jim Irsay had passed away here on Wednesday. And again, just a somber day for Colts fans. Um, a lot of conversation happening over the past, hour and a half or so, or whatever it's been since the news came out. The Colts, and shout out to anybody that may have known about this, right? Insiders and whatnot. They let the Colts put this news out themselves. And they put this news out at 7:35 on Wednesday. And I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. I have not read through any of the things that other people have said. I haven't looked at what was said here. I see Reggie Wayne commenting here. Rest in power, Ji. Big man JJ Watt here. Terribly sorry to hear the news. Thoughts are with the Irsay family and the entire Indianapolis community. Deion Kane, former Colt wide receiver there for a little while. So there's a lot of that. A lot of people, with their condolences. Mr. Irsay was 65 years old. Lived a lot of life. A lot that could be said about Mr. Irsay, and a lot that has been said in the comments over time about Mr. Irsay, whether it's this channel or the channel that I had before. And, there's always going to be the low-hanging fruit surrounding the conversation around Mr. Irsay. But for Jim, I think what a lot of people are saying is a lot of what you should take away from who Jim was at heart, right? And the note here from the Colts, the address here from the Colts that they put out, again, this is the first time I'm reading it as well. It says, "We are devastated to announce our beloved owner and CEO Jim Irsay passed away peacefully in his sleep this afternoon. Jim's dedication and passion for the Indianapolis Colts, in addition to his generosity, commitment to the community, and most importantly, his love for his family were unsurpassed. Our deepest sympathies go to his daughters, Carly Irsay Gordon, Casey Foyt, Kaylin Jackson, and his entire family as we grieve with them." Some of Jim's fondest memories came from his youth working training camps in Baltimore and growing relationships with players, coaches, and staff whom he considered his extended family. He worked in every department before he was named the youngest general manager in team history in 1984 when the Colts arrived in Indianapolis. After he took sole ownership in 1997, he led the Colts to a long series of division titles and brought the city its first Super Bowl championship. Jim's love and appreciation for the NFL, in addition to its history, tradition, and principles, influenced him to become a steward of the game throughout his 50-plus years in the league. Jim's generosity can be felt all over Indianapolis, the state of Indiana, and the country. He made philanthropy a daily endeavor. He never hesitated to help countless organizations and individuals live better lives. Music was one of Jim's passions, and the ability to share his band and collection with millions of people across the world brought him tremendous joy. Simply put, he wanted to make the world a better place, and that philosophy never wavered. Jim will be deeply missed by his family, the Colts organization, and fans everywhere, but will remain inspired by his caring and unique spirit. And again, that what they're saying there is what I hope people remember of Jim. And I looked as of right now. From what I see, there's nothing that Edgerrin James has said, but we know, or at least a lot of people know here in Colts Nation, know that the relationship between Jim Irsay and Edgerrin James, like Edgerrin James was almost like a son to Jim Irsay. And I think Jim Irsay has said as much in the past, if I'm not mistaken. And the relationship that those two had, right? Edgerrin, when he was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, had Jim be the one that introduced him and welcomed him into the Hall of Fame. And for sure, the moment Jim Irsay is eligible for the Hall of Fame, somebody that should be immediately inducted into the Hall of Fame. Really, no question about that, in my opinion. Somebody who, and I had something that I put on Twitter. We'll look here in a little while at what I said, but I mean, just one of the legends of the NFL. Here's a statement from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell on the passing of Jim Irsay. He says, "We were deeply saddened to learn of Jim Irsay's passing today. Jim was a friend and a man deeply committed to his family, the game, the Colts, and the Indianapolis community. He spent his life and career in the National Football League. Starting as a teenager as a Colts ball boy, he learned every position in the organization before assuming leadership of the Colts approximately 30 years ago. Jim's Colts won the Super Bowl, hosted another, and built Lucas Oil Stadium. Within the league, Jim was an active chairman of the Legislative Committee and member of the Finance Committee. He led with integrity, passion, and care for the Colts players, coaches, and staff, and his courageous work in support of mental health will be a lasting legacy. Outside of football, he was a talented musician and built an extraordinary collection of historical and musical artifacts that he shared with people across the country. On behalf of the entire NFL, I extend my heartfelt condolences to Jim's daughters and their families and to his many friends throughout the NFL." So shout out to the commissioner putting in a word there. Just some other things that people have said. Ian Rappaport, one of the things that he appreciated, and I thought one of the things that I thought really turned the tide for a lot of people on Jim Irsay and having a lot of respect for him was when he was the one that spoke out against Dan Campbell, saying that, quote, "I believe there's merit to removing him as an owner," and really got the ball rolling on getting Dan Snyder out of the NFL. Now, one of the most storied franchises, the Washington Commanders, have good ownership. They're good in the NFL again, as a brand, and as the NFL overall. Really, that's what the objective was, and Jim was the one that got the ball rolling on that. Ian Rappaport also went on to say this was Jim Irsay. He was deeply thoughtful and made consequential decisions not based on public opinion. He cut Peyton Manning. He got Grigson and Pagano to find peace. He spoke out against Snyder, and he hosted marathon head coach and GM interviews. He was his own man, and that's that. I mean, if you're going to say anything about him, just know Jim was one of one. There's nobody else like Jim Irsay. When you're getting like the pillars of the NFL, like those guys at the top, man, are one of one. Like Jerry Jones, one of one. Right, these guys that have been around forever, and have had so much success in the NFL over a long standing period of time. And Jim was one of those guys, man, and the impact that we felt in the city, right? Like for a while. I was born in '93, so I don't understand the impact of the Colts and when they landed here. I just know I got to grow up as a fan of the Colts through the Peyton Manning era. Right, like right at the beginning of that is when I have my memories of football, and Jim Irsay took over as an owner. He was again the youngest general manager the Colts ever had in 1984 when they moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis, and then took over as the owner of the team in 1997. So provided, at least in my lifetime, his leadership through everything you could say about him, through his leadership. Right, think about the coaches we've had, the players that we've had, all the winning that we did, the joy that as fans we get to feel, right, and the connection that we have, right. And of course, like I'm sitting here, I make content every day about the Colts, like we all love the Colts, and for me, like I don't even have to say it, but like I'm diehard, man. Like I live for this. Like when you talk about bleed blue, like I bleed blue, like that's running through my veins, and everything about this team, through the good, through the bad, I love it. Like it's not a choice. This is who I am, and this is a massive part of my life. Maybe the biggest part. Like of all the I'm a sports guy, but I love football. Like my attachment to football is forever. Like it's always been the thing for me, right? Was football, and for Jim Irsay to be the owner during the time where the where the Colts had the most success. And again, being able to enjoy the game the way I've been able to enjoy the game. And now I'm sitting here as somebody trying to make a living through the game. So shout out to people like Mr. Irsay, Mr. Jones, right? The Rooneys, the Maras, the people that have been around forever. Getting us going on the path that we're on, right? As fans, we get to enjoy this stuff because of the work and the sacrifices that those dudes made back in the day. Okay, but now let's roll through some more that's happening. Of course, there's a statement here. I'm not going to sit here and read every statement. This is all on Twitter, probably on Facebook as well, if I had to guess. The Pacers putting out a statement about Mr. Irsay and his impact. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. saying, "Rip Mr. Irsay." Peyton Manning, we will look at Peyton's here. I'm sure you guys are interested in what Peyton said. Peyton Manning on Instagram said, "I'm heartbroken to hear about Jim Irsay's passing. He was an incredibly generous and passionate owner, and I'll always be indebted to him for giving me my start in the NFL. His love for the Colts and the city of Indy was unmatched. His impact on the players who played for him will not be forgotten. My thoughts and prayers are with his family and everyone in the Colts community. He will be missed. Jim, rest in peace, my friend." So Peyton Manning throwing his words and condolences out there, his thoughts and prayers. Shout out to Logan for getting that and pulling that for Twitter. There's also this. I don't honestly know who this is, but he apparently had some stories about Jim Irsay that were told to him over the years. And this is where, like, this is what I want people to remember about Mr. Irsay. Okay. He made it a point to give every Colts employee a birthday card with $100 bill. I've heard this in the past. I don't know how many people have heard this in the past, but like all the employees, like the Colts employ a lot of people, right? The concessions, of course, everybody, on the team and involved with the team, front office and all that. But like the employees of the Colts, the people you'll never hear about, the people you really don't even think about, but giving them all a birthday card with a $100 bill. He would randomly give the homeless a wad of cash from time to time in hopes of helping them get back on their feet, which for a lot of people, there's a lot of people have the same thought, right? You give a homeless person money like that, like, alcohol and drugs is a thing people will talk about. But Mr. Irsay, of course, with his own battle through addictions and whatever the case, probably had even more empathy and sympathized more with that and with that case, and just hoping, and hopefully it did. Hopefully it worked for somebody to help them get back on their feet, and hopefully they were able to turn things around in their life. But that's Mr. Irsay. Those are the things you always hear. That's why when people talk about the mistakes he made in the past, it's like I understand it's there, but I just don't know why we're at a point where that has to be mentioned, right? Like, it is what it is. But I like that we're at a point now. It's unfortunate that it takes this, but where all the generosity is really the thing being talked about by so many people, right? And then, of course, as we talked about when he was younger, he worked several positions in the organization to know what they were like before becoming the owner, which includes the equipment manager, doing the team's laundry. And again, a lot of things like that. Shout out to teams throughout the NFL. This is what we're going to see throughout, on behalf of Stephen Ross and his family, putting out words from the Dolphins and their organization. Stephen Ross, another owner that's been around the NFL for a little while. And this, one of the favorite moments, right? When you think about Jim Irsay and how much he loves this team and he loves his coaches and he loves his players. Even though we hadn't had success throughout the last years of his life, this was a moment after a massive win, and Jim Irsay just in there having fun with the team, and really one of the last times he was able to really be in the locker room like that with the guys and having that kind of energy. So shout out Shout out to Jim Irsay. Shout out to all the guys being with him, too. You see Grant Stewart in the back, Shane Steichen here, letting him hold on to his hand and his finger. EJ Speed, and that's what Jim Irsay created. Family atmosphere. You always hear everybody say it. So for everything that can be said about the team, a family atmosphere is what's been created here. And that's why so many players have come out and had words to say about Jim Irsay and talking about again, generosity of Jim Irsay. Just so many things. And of course, here's the Raiders putting out a statement. They have the Davis family, right? Al Davis. Now it's Mark Davis. Some of the most legendary names in all of sports, let alone the NFL. And the Raiders putting out their own statement there. DeForest Buckner letting it be known that he saw Brian Baldinger. Shout out to Brian Baldinger. Said, I loved wearing the horseshoe. Rip Jim Irsay, we love you. Washington Commanders putting out a statement for Jim Irsay, which, with what we talked about earlier, not surprising, right? Helping them get better ownership and really get on the trajectory to be great. But Jim Irsay, as they say here, significant contributions during the game during his 50-plus years with the franchise, and was a true steward of the NFL. Somebody who's going to be sorely missed. Somebody who also, and again, shout out to Logan here, Jim Irsay back in 2022, just showing off a little bit of who he used to be when I weighed 307 pounds and squatting 525 pounds in the super heavyweight powerlifting championships. Jim Irsay putting it up. 525 pounds. That's insane. I went did leg day today. I think I did. Now he's max out rep here. I was only repping, 185 6 times. But shout out Mr. Irsay, just in case you didn't know, used to be a power lifter. That's real, right? Sitting here. Just full screen that for you guys real quick. And yeah, nice vertical base. Boom. Like it's nothing, Mr. Irsay. Darius Butler, former player, somebody that appears on the Pat McAfee show, says, a generous man that loved his family, community, and football team. Jim Irsay will truly be missed. Kenny Moore, thinking of the Irsay family during this time of loss. I'll remember the great leader you were and the spirit you continually kept. Say hello to my dad. So a lot being said, and there's so much more. This is just notable people, Colts players, former Colts players, other organizations. Didn't want to load it up too much. There are other organizations that have said stuff. And just shout out again to Mr. Irsay for everything that he gave the game. Somebody who's going to be truly missed. And this was what I said earlier. Said, Mr. Irsay is a legend in the NFL. Jones, Mara, Rooney, and Irsay are pillars of the NFL, and Boss Man will be missed. Through the good and the bad, he was always loyal, and he loved his team, his players, his coaches, all of it. Rip to a legend, and condolences to the Irsay family. And that's really how I want to end this one, is just absolutely condolences to the Irsay family. Colts Nation is behind you. Colts Nation is, again, this is a family atmosphere, even for all the chaos that happens behind the scenes, right? Colts Twitter can be, kind of chaotic sometimes, and things have been tough for Colts Nation recently, at least compared to what we were used to for quite a while. And unfortunately, we're not able to win more Super Bowls for Jim Irsay, right? The team unable to bring more Super Bowls home, especially in the Peyton era. Unfortunately, Andrew Luck retires early during Jim Irsay's ownership. But again, all the winning that happened, all the good that happened. And that's what I hope people remember Jim Irsay for, is the good, right? Both on and off the field. Again, the generosity that comes along with being Jim Irsay, the passion that he lived with, man. And those are things um, that I hope everybody can find, right? Just what you love, and to be able to do the things that you love, and to be able to experience the things that you love, like he did with his music, and being able to share that with his collection, and traveling around the world with that whole thing. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the mental health work that Jim Irsay, the initiative that they started, right? Kicking the stigma. And I can't appreciate that enough, as somebody that for a lot of my life has dealt with right, depression and different things that I go through, even now, right? And especially right now, like especially over the last few months, been really transformative for me from a mental standpoint. Really like where I'm at right now from a mental standpoint, and battled, but right, part of kicking the stigma is being willing to admit that there's something wrong and talk to somebody, and you know, at least for me, that was something um, that I learned recently. I always dealt with things on my own, and I was really at a point where I had to talk to somebody, so I did. And since that day, things were still hard for a while, but since that day, things really on a sharp trajectory up for me, and I hope that for everybody else. And I hope that kicking the stigma is something that can continue to happen for people as we continue to go along that initiative. And shout out to all the different NFL teams that pair up and partner up with the Colts. Right, like pretty much every team that we've played in the preseason over the last couple of years will team up with the Colts and wear merch, with kicking the stigma. For me, that's something that I really appreciate, something that I support from the Colts, and something that I hope can help a lot of people out there through time. And again, that doesn't happen without Jim Irsay. That was Jim Irsay's doing. He wanted to make that happen. And he's the one, right, that puts on the Chuck Strong events, right, talking about his generosity. Right, these are things that I hope people will talk about more about Jim Irsay. Right, we all know about the negative, so we're at a point where I hope the positive continues to get talked about and continues to get mentioned. Shout out to him. Looking forward to the Pat McAfee show and what he has to say. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say. He's probably, if I had to guess, going to have other Colts players on, if I had to guess, to talk about Mr. Irsay. There's probably going to be a lot on there tomorrow. Again, Mr. Irsay, a steward. I'm sorry, a steward of the NFL for a long time. Put a lot of time in, and was massively passionate about the Indianapolis Colts. So, again, my condolences to the Irsay family. Shout out to Mr. Irsay. Shout out to the Irsay family. Colts Nation's behind you all the way, and we can't wait for the season to come up so that we can have full tribute right in week one at home. There's going to be a full tribute. The energy in the building week one is going to be insane, right? One that I wish I could be there for, because with Mr. Irsay looking down on what's happening that day, it's going to be a bad day to be a Miami Dolphin. So looking forward to what's coming up. And again, shout out to Mr. Irsay on what is a somber day for Indianapolis as we sit here. His last tweet actually about the Indiana Pacers. Pacers putting up a fight. They were leading for a good portion of this game as we sit right now. There was a timeout at 7:25 in the third quarter as I'm recording this video. Pacers are down by 3 points. His last tweet was about the Pacers. Go Pacers, talking about wanting them to win and go get a title. So hopefully the Pacers are able to get that done. Hopefully the Colts can come out. Anthony Richardson can light the world on fire. And the Colts can come out, make it back to the playoffs, make a run. The Fever make a run. Like, could you imagine? Could you imagine, like, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Literally the arm, getting the goosebumps. I don't know if you guys can see it, hair on my arm standing up. But if Caitlin Clark was able to bring a championship to the Fever, Halliburton and the boys able to bring a championship to the Pacers, and Anthony Richardson and the boys able to bring a championship back to Indianapolis, all in the year of Jim Irsay's passing, that would be. Hey, listen. I don't know how many people believe in that kind of stuff. I do. So we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, you guys let me know your thoughts on Mr. Irsay, memories of Mr. Irsay, condolences, appreciations, whatever the case may be. You guys let it be known down in the comment section. Love hearing from you guys. And as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, as we take care of any news and updates as soon as we possibly can here on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.